We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 10-year anniversary of the WordNerds channel. Huzzah! 10 years. Well, that makes me feel old. It is wild. I guess I have been voluntold that I'm the host tonight. My fault for being late. So I'm gonna just go ahead and turn this around and put you guys on the spot and ask about if you can remember some of your favorite WordNerds moments from the last 10 years. There's gotta be some. I'm going to kick it off and say our Yell Fest, getting to meet people in person, hands down, is my favorite. And having met Kyra, of course, at Kelly's wedding.
All of those times definitely up there. I think, I'm not going to say this is, like, there's no one favorite, but how extensively we've gotten to work with Nano was definitely like a massive win for my little. Yeah.
I really liked we did like 1 or 2 write-ins that were For the Words themed, and they had like monsters, and it was like very, not like theatrical, but very orchestrated, and those were really fun. I always remember those as being very fun live chats.
I feel like book club has been a hit or miss thing, but I always think fondly of like our very first book club when we did Fangirl.
Yeah,
that was like our first live chat, our first book club. Like, I feel like it was when we were all like really like gelled with our personalities. It was like it was really the start of it. I feel like, you know.
Yeah. Anytime we like found a book club book, I'm mostly thinking Raven Boys here, where like it became everyone's personality, which is really great.
The first time Aaron laid eyes on Gideon the Ninth.
Oh yeah. For just my, that's what I identify as from now on. Gideon.
I think apart from like I obviously loved getting to see people in person, which for me, for most of the WordNerds has only been at Kelly's wedding. I've seen Kelly and Megan in person outside of that event, but apart from that, I think for like live chats, videos that we've done, one of my all-time favorites is when we did our kind of virtual launch party for Bryony.
Oh yeah.
And Megan made the like super like sweet video about like how long Aaron had been talking about that and kind of.
Oh, that one was Emmeline, right?
Oh yeah, I'm getting
which city? Yeah.
My bad. Aaron's other middle grade book. Yeah, it's my favorite memory. I don't remember it though. No, but just the so Escape to Which City, which Aaron had like written and rewritten and in a way sort of documented a lot of that on the video chat on the WordNerds. So being able to pull all the clips from like she's been talking about it for this long and now it's a book. Like that was a like beautiful moment.
Yeah, and that book is like part of the reason this channel exists. Like I knew Aaron from beta reading a very early.
It says For the WordNerds for anyone that can't see that. Well, yeah, the book wouldn't exist without the WordNerds, because one of my, like, this isn't a selective WordNerd memory, but like one of my hands down favorite, like, of my writing career memories is like flying out to Toronto for like a festival, and I got to see Kelly there, and I think it was like thunderstorming outside or something. And I was
looking at the video, there was also like a fire alarm.
A fire alarm going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were just like, and I was just saying to her that I was having such a hard time rewriting Escape to Which City, which was then titled The Sad State of Emmeline Black. And I think we had just like sat down at the hotel lobby and drank this. It was really, really, really good tea. I remember that too. And just brainstormed for literal hours and basically it was amazing, and rewrote the book kind of just like talking out loud.
If I could make my whole career doing that with other people's books, I would be all over it.
And I will highly recommend Kelly to anyone who wants to hire her. If you're blocked or stuck, call on Kelly. Because yeah, like literally what we talked through that day became Witch City. Like the whole plot we talked through ended up in that book. So
which you can buy at a bookstore near you.
Yeah, you can see the inside of our minds when we were going through that thunderstorm, fire alarm night of brainstorming. And I literally like, it's so funny. I'm really addicted to the tea we drank, which was, I still remember, called Pluck Tea. And I have to this day, I have no idea if it's because it's genuinely good or it just reminds me of that day.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Kelly must have like the gift, because when Kelly and I hung out, we found this like random coffee shop that we're gonna go right in, and they had this like red velvet hot chocolate that was also
really
phenomenal. So maybe Kelly's just got a gift. I mean, she has many gifts, but maybe finding places with good drinks is one of them.
Beverage and plotting gifts.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. Misty K asked, which year did you co-host on Nano? And we hosted stuff over there for many years.
Yeah. I think we started collaborating with them in like 2016, maybe.
It was at least 2015 because we recorded stuff in person for them.
I couldn't remember what year Y'all Fest was. 2015.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
I
also remember the first time I met a word nerd other than Megan was, I also remember when I met Megan, that was many years ago. But it was Aaron, because you and your husband came to Orlando and we went to Universal, and it was like right after you sold Bryony Gray, I think, because we like cheersed and did like a little video and stuff.
Butterbeer. Yeah. I literally was scrolling through Instagram just to try to find that the other day. And yeah, because that's also one of my like hands down favorite memories is like not only meeting you and your husband for the first time, but like going into Diagon Alley for the first time, which like kind of that memory is spoiled a little bit, but meeting you and your husband for the first time was like amazing, and just like getting to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, went to Medieval Times. That was fun.
We did. Oh my god, I bought a ridiculous dragon hat. And oh, that was so fun. We don't have anything, as far as I know, like that in Canada, at least not in BC.
We have Medieval Times here.
Okay, we don't have that in.
Speak for your own.
I don't have that where I am. It was very cool. Oh, Megan's just here representing my book. Thank you.
I've got the other one too for when it comes up. Yeah, it pretty much first. Oh, sorry, finish what you were going to say.
Oh, I was going to say, I pretty much feel like I documented my career thus far on the WordNerds channel, like all the way through so far.
Our first video for Nano was for Camp Nano in July 2015. And then we did a bunch that November for them. And then I think in 2016, we switched over to doing more live stuff for them rather than like pre-recorded content.
Right.
Because we had like the fairy tale year. Like we still did
some. The fairy tale year was like 2 years ago recording. Well, almost 3 now.
I remember doing one the year we had the superhero theme, and then we did the sports pep talk one.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm just recounting because I feel like I always choose to do something like kind of embarrassing when we do a Nano video that I'm involved in. So I'm just recounting all the times I've humiliated myself on the internet. And then we did the one with like the choose your genre, which might be my favorite one that we've done for Nano.
Yeah.
Pretty good one.
No, mine is still the OG Lord of the Rings one. Like,
yes,
all of the love to the word nerds who have joined since then, but the memories of Megan Gollum and Emma giving her rousing speech,
and it was like midnight, and we were all delirious, and like,
it's like
all of us like cramming into my bed to like do that ending scene.
Yeah. If we'd been insane enough to try to make a video the night before my wedding, when we were all also very tired and just loopy on fun,
it would have been
that was kind of the result. Yeah.
We were just talking about that because Megan and Kyra did make a video.
Well, we like illegally filmed you without your
Stealthily
consent.
filming me. And I think me, Kelly, and Emma were the ones that were like, we're going to make our own. And Rachel, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to make our own story.
Yeah, Megan and I were being insufferable talking about the book we wrote together. Because in case you haven't heard, Megan and I wrote a book together.
What?
You don't say.
And we were like, we were being like that. And so they started talking about like
in the world.
We have a Pinterest board. And then Emma and Kelly and Aaron and Rachel, I think, decided they were going to write their own book. And so we have some sketchily obtained footage of them plotting said book. It has. I like to like bring it out every couple years, and it's been a while, and I think it's time again.
It's time. I don't remember a lot about that book aside from.
Remember, there was a lamp.
Yeah, a lamp is all the mind for
a
me.
sexy lamp. I think.
Lamp
Yeah, I don't really know what was going on there, but
we did record a video the morning of Kelly's wedding, but for obvious reasons, Kelly couldn't be there.
Yes, honestly, Kelly.
Priorities, man.
Unbelievable. Oh.
So timeline-wise, when did we gain Des and Rachel?
It was, I have it written down. Hang on, let me pull it up.
Have we ever on the channel given like kind of the like origin story of the WordNerds?
We must have. It's been 10 years.
Desperate for new content. I'm sure we must have.
But in case you didn't know, the WordNerds formed because the OG WordNerds auditioned for a different YouTube channel that is defunct. And they didn't get accepted, so they just made their own channel, and
I think
the channel is still going.
I think you can really tell when you look at kind of the trajectory of the type of content we made, how it was like so much a copy of the structure of what was working for them, but then like easing into things that worked more for us and figuring out like what our actual channel was going to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ability to evolve made a big difference there.
Nicole says we will not reveal the channel name. It's been 10 years. Do you think we can say it?
I think we can.
Yeah. They were very popular at the time. They had like V.E. Schwab before she was V.E. Schwab and stuff on their channel.
YA Rebels.
Yeah.
But then I think they like went inactive because people started getting successful. And then a couple of them wanted to bring it back. So they were like, oh, we'll audition new people.
See, and that's really where we've thrived, is in not being
having any success commercial.
Yeah. For a while, it was a little bit like we shall not speak the name. But yeah, it's been
never want to be seen as like trash
It's
talking about our channel, but I do look back very fondly on watching those videos and then like the entire process that came from that.
So much good came from all that rejection.
Yes.
And I had barely tasted rejection at that point. I've read so many books since then.
So is it me, Megan, Aaron, and Kaylin that auditioned?
I think so.
And then I brought Erica, Megan brought Emma.
I brought Emma. Eventually dragged Kyra. I met Kyra in a class.
And Kaylin originally was not part of the WordNerds.
Right. Kaylin's first video came a month later.
Yeah. We had a different Leah, not the Leah who sometimes joins us now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She was there for like a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and was just too busy.
She had books that were coming out. With small
and like 3
presses.
kids or something.
And 3 kids, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope she's doing well.
Yeah.
That's wild. To think
Shout
about.
out to other Leah.
And I think Kaylin had like been in our comments a bit, you know, like she had been watching from the beginning. So
yeah, and the number was only like so like, oh, it's gotta be 6 because we were doing 6 and an extra video.
Yeah, so the original format was did we each have a day, or right from the get go it was each day had a theme and we cycled?
Each day had a theme from the start, and we were switching. And then Des and Rachel joined in 2016.
The audition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bunch of auditions. That was a weird experience having people audition.
Yeah.
Because I remember the audition prompt was like, how do you word nerd, right?
Yeah.
And you just kind of like let people do what they would with that.
Yeah.
Which
And then
feels
we
like
interviewed
very
people.
audacious looking back on it. Like, audition.
But we had a lot of people.
We did.
Yeah.
And I feel like we knew from the get go that we needed both of them. Like it was never going to be a.
Yeah.
So of the original days, how many of them can you remember? I know Word Nerd Wednesday.
I've been making a video, so I need to. It was not Word Nerd Wednesday.
One was ink
We
slinging.
changed it. Yeah.
Oh,
It wasn't originally
Ink
Word Nerd
slinging
Wednesday.
was
Wordplay.
Wednesday, and
Wordplay
everyone
Wednesday.
hated
Wordplay
it.
Wednesday.
They ran out of ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
ink
Yeah, we had like
slinging
something.
Eating Monday.
The
Sunday special.
circulation desk.
Yeah. Circulation
Oh,
was
yeah.
Thursday.
Thursdays, I think. Tuesday was the Reader's Nook.
Friday's the Reader's Nook.
Friday's Reader's Nook.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Tuesday.
It felt like
Oh,
Tuesday.
Tuesday was
Is
Reader's
it
Nook.
Tuesday? Okay. What was Friday?
What
Friday.
Oh, Inspiration Corner? Is that right?
Yeah.
Saturday was like a wild card.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Blogger's
it's called.
Choice.
Blogger's Choice. Yeah.
Ah, that's nuts.
That's crazy. That was so much content. A video every week. Were we insane?
It was a
Could
4-minute
not do it
video,
now.
which it was a little easier than the YouTube algorithm preferred by the last couple of years.
Yeah, they were much faster videos.
True.
Still.
Still.
I could not do it now. I'm too
I
tired.
say that like I ever did that. Like I did not.
You did that like 5 times.
Yeah, it was like always as a guest. So
Yeah.
Megan said she dragged me here, but in fairness, before I like ever really started doing things, like Megan and I met each other first, and Megan joined the Word Nerds. But I'd already been like talking to Erin and Kelly.
Yeah,
outside.
you already knew them.
Well, I think what it was is Erin was looking for a beta reader, and I could do that, so we swapped books.
Probably.
Do you remember? Which
That sounds
books
like
we
y'all.
swapped? And then
Do
like,
I remember?
yeah.
I think so. All I remember is like it was fantasy, I think. And there was a
Was it your
and there was a
time?
and there was a cave.
I don't know. I was gonna say I actually don't remember which
Secret
one I gave you,
keepers.
but I remember which one you gave me.
I think.
Yes.
No, I think I read one of yours before, Secret Keepers.
Oh, I hope not. That was only like the 3rd book I wrote, so rip to you if you read any of the first 2. I had 2 that I was working on at the time, so you might have read my 4th book, and it was the first one you read, even if it wasn't written after. I don't know. They were all bad. And then Kelly had like made contact with me about something.
I don't remember at all.
Yeah, but like we
Happened last
kind of
year.
been emailed, and then eventually we formed a writing group. When
Yeah, we did.
when Megan and I's other writing group people drifted
Yeah.
off to the distant corners.
Have we been writing grouping for that long too? How long has that been?
About
Not quite 10 years, but close.
Holy crap.
yeah, because Kyra and I were in an in-person writing group when we both lived in Utah, and then we like all graduated around the same time, and so we started moving and tried to do it virtual.
But Megan and I were the only ones who could handle virtual writing.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in fairness, like we did not do as much stuff virtual at the time. Like,
No,
it was
wasn't
a
much
different-
infrastructure for it.
Yeah, we were doing Google Hangouts.
Which is how we started this channel too. Was Google.
Yeah, I watched
True.
some of that first one for a thing I've been working on, and the lag was unbelievable.
Remember, people would complain about us talking over each other, and we're like, we just can't tell.
Yeah, because you would have one person big and then
Mm.
everyone else teeny tiny at the bottom, and the quality was so low. And then you either had to manually click who was speaking, or Google Hangouts would try to intuit who was speaking.
Oh,
If
right.
multiple people were talking, it would flash between.
Awful.
God. That's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, very glad we found StreamYard.
Mhm.
Well,
Isn't
when
Google
did we
Hangout-
find StreamYard? Because we did Google for a long
It
time.
was once
Until they
Google got
changed.
defunct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
completely
Until
gone
they
now.
forced
isn't
us to leave.
it? Yeah.
They like unsynced it from YouTube.
That's right.
Yeah. And then they got rid of it completely shortly after.
Remember the stress of that when you find something new.
I wonder if they regret. I mean, I'm sure they have some other video.
They have Google Meet, but it's not as you can't like stream
Yeah.
with it that I know.
I
of.
wonder. I just kind of wonder if they regret that at all, given the way things have gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, well, maybe we got StreamYard now.
Nicole said regarding the rebels, well, that was anticlimactic. I've never heard of them. At the time, for a writing group channel, they were like pretty big, but it was still like 1,000 or 2,000 subs, I think. And to us, that was like the big time.
Huge at this
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Are they still okay?
I think the
They-
channel still exists,
Yeah.
but no one posts.
They tried to come back a few years ago and just didn't get.
Really?
Yeah, I remember them like putting out a call for auditions, and I don't.
So
really been
like
one.
not the one that we
Right,
did,
it was
a
after
different
that.
one.
It was a second wave.
Much after.
And
Yeah.
like it's hard managing people's schedules, and like burnout is really real in a format like YouTube.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially when you're pairing it with writing, which is already a craft that can lead to burnout when you're trying to get published.
Mhm.
And so I can't imagine if like we were all burnout at the same time. Like it
Yeah,
was
they're
very hard to come back from that.
And
Their
because
last-
we had the live chats, we were able to just pivot when we did start to get
Yeah.
burnout. You
Right.
know.
And because we had the live chats, like we cared more about
Yeah, we
like
had a
each other, and
community.
Yeah.
like, it wasn't just a tool to build our writing careers, which I'm sure
Mhm.
for a lot of them it was kind of the thinking.
Yeah. Their last video was 9 years ago. Was it more recent than that, or was that was when
It
people
feels
were
like it was more recent.
More
I
recent
feel like
than
it
that.
was. They might have.
Maybe they asked for auditions and then it just never made
Yeah,
it.
they didn't get like any auditions. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
why. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's too bad.
YouTube had a very short window for like
Mhm.
Yeah.
get in and talk about writing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know like everyone's on the channel's been burnt out at some point and needed to take a break. I know for me personally, it was very like, I think I gotta quit. I can't do this anymore. And then being able to like let go, and it's probably noticeable how much the channel pivoted from trying to grow to just trying to cultivate what we already had.
Mhm.
And I don't know that the channel would have survived if we kept on focusing just on trying to grow. Like it was
No.
exhausting trying to
Mm.
get new numbers.
I think it's also worth noting that like when I say we, like I was actually part of the start of the channel. But like when the channel started, like that was very much something that was talked about a lot. And in a funny way, I kind of feel like this is now being said about like TikTok, but it's like you gotta grow your brand, you gotta get name recognition, that's gonna help you sell books. And like I think that was motivation behind doing the channel. If that was gonna work, it would have worked by now.
It would have worked.
And I
a
don't want
long
to say
time ago.
like, for the word nerds who have books out, it hasn't helped at all or anything, but it's like it wasn't like a golden ticket to anything.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
We did well as a channel, and I don't know how many subscribers we have now. I don't care. But like I
12,000.
Really?
oh, wow, that's great.
That's pretty
guys.
good. I can't remember the last time I checked was where it used to be every few days. I'd be like, refresh.
But like that's I think pretty darn good. And
Yes.
it, like I said, just wasn't a golden ticket to anything.
Mhm.
So if that's your reason for doing things, like
Yeah, if you're picking a platform, you're gonna burn out, and like
Yeah.
3 people will find success that way.
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel's gotten 100,000 more than that followers on TikTok in a tenth of the time.
Yeah. Her TikTok content is so good, though.
It is.
Not that our content wasn't good, but her TikToks are so good.
But yeah, I look at that and I'm like, she's doing amazing. I hope that she continues to not burn out, like, because that's all I can think about is like, the content you have to create every single day, sometimes 3 times a day. Like,
I think she's pretty good at like pacing herself. And like for you, Erin, it always felt like you were supposed to do it more than like you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we see Rachel less now, and I think part of that is like having a good balance and knowing when you have to step back from things.
Yeah. Like she also works in books, and like that is a lot of her life at this point. So
yeah.
For sure.
I feel like that made a huge difference kind of burnout wise for me, was like stepping away from working with books quite so much. Because I went from a job where like I was like working with YA books and I was like responsible for staying like up to date on what was out there, to like a job where like there were books, but it wasn't the whole of my responsibility, to now I'm in a job that just doesn't involve them at all. And it's kind of freeing and nice to just be able to like read books for enjoyment.
Yeah, I think that like one of the things the channel has definitely taught me is like, the only way you get longevity is by doing something you enjoy. And like, it's going to have its own rewards, and those aren't necessarily selling loads of books. It's like, you know, having
friends you make along the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, cheesy as that is, but yeah, like the friendship was inside us all along or whatever. But like, it's true. Like, this is why the channel's lasted that long, because like we really like each other. We really like the people that show up and chat with us, and just like being able to go back and be like, oh my God, like these are the things we did together. These are the things I learned. Like, we documented what we were doing together the whole time. Like, that's pretty freaking cool. Let's see. And Griswolta's question was the decision to stop making daily videos difficult, because before you switched to Sunday live streams only, you were still posting 2 videos during the week. Oh yeah,
we reduced the number of weekly videos.
Yeah, we did.
So that we each only had to make like a video a month or a couple videos a month or something.
Yeah.
I think that the idea to switch from daily to 2 a week was less difficult than the decision to go from 2 to only live chats. Yeah, you know, there comes a point, obviously we're not a huge channel, but every now and then you'd see things said about us online, and you know, seeing things that echoed feelings you were having of like, oh, how many times can we say the same thing? You know, like how many times can I do a video about my book failing? How many times can I talk about like perseverance? And like you feel that.
Or even just like the same pieces of writing advice of like, especially as like booktube writing, like the idea of advice got less important. Like it was less people wanting you to tell them specifically what to do, and more the advice is do what works for you. There's only so many videos you can make about that. Like we have close to 2,000 videos. We gave a lot of advice.
I think the like both format changes, going to 2 days a week and then going to live streams only. I think the hardest part of the decision was like the lead up to not knowing if other people felt the same way. Because I remember like both times like feeling pretty burnt out, and then talking with Megan, because we like see each other in person a lot, and being like, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this, you know, and then like realizing, oh, everyone else feels the same way too, you know. And so once we knew that we all kind of felt the same way about it, I don't think it was too difficult of a decision.
Yeah, I know. I obviously had a lot going on in like the last few years. So like my dad died very unexpectedly, and I had lost my agent just like a year and a half before that. And when my dad died, I was working on 2 books involving like dead parents or ghosts that were like based on the ghosts of my family. And so it was very like, let's hit a slump in everything all at once. And I remember like I carried a lot of stress about managing technical sides of things and feeling in many regards, like stress I didn't need to be feeling about like if we only had a few people for a chat and had to cancel, or if, you know, someone missed a video, feeling like, oh, I should be doing something to mitigate this. And I remember maybe a year ago being like, I think like feeling out with people, like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I think I might need to like quit. And I remember just like talking to everyone and being like, well, let's just get to 10 years. I want to feel what 10 years feels like. And then just also just thinking about like, but I like talking to people. Like I like talking to the people in the chat. I like talking to you all, obviously, but I would see you outside of this if we weren't doing that. But I wouldn't see people in the chat as much. And just having that very much the people who watch and the people that we get to talk to being the reason that I was able to learn to let go of some of the things that I didn't need to be stressing about, and like being able to get through a really tough time. And like, I don't know what everyone else is feeling. We can talk about it some other time, but I don't feel like, oh, I just want to get to 10 years anymore. It feels very like, oh, well, we did it, folks.
And I think that like,
for me,
it keeps like, I feel like this conversation keeps going back to like, it's all about the friends we made along the way. But I think that like the relationships we have with each other is what's made things like that possible. That like when someone's feeling really burnout or when we're like struggling, like we're able to have like the conversation of like, well, what can we do differently to make it easier versus someone just being like, well, I'm done, goodbye, you know, being like, how can we make this easier for you or for us? So it's not so stressful. If that's, you know, not doing daily videos anymore, then okay, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, the choice of doing 2 videos versus no videos was difficult, but it was like, well, if it's no channel or no weekday videos.
Yeah. For me, a big part of it is at every stage has been like you who are watching right now, like specifically all of you who we've seen show up on Sundays for however long. Not wanting to disappoint you guys has always been a big part of it for me, of like, you have been with us for so long, and like showing up so regularly on Sundays to hang out with us is huge. Like that's a big deal
too. I know there are
100%.
And a couple names in the chat that we're not familiar. Hello.
Not even necessarily just people who are commenting, but like the people who watch us for an hour every week of like, that's a big deal. Like, so I've never wanted to just like disappear on like you. It's like someone showed up to a coffee date. We just didn't show up. But like, it just seems mean. I couldn't do it because you've been so wonderful to us.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of these channel changes were also happening, and the burnout was happening in a backdrop of like a lot of other things going on in the world because COVID, but also like in
COVID.
COVID, little things. But like, I think one of the things that got brought up is like, we felt like we'd already give it, like, how many times can I give this advice? But I feel like a lot of us also started to feel it like, I don't want to speak like an authority about many things in publishing, you know? And I say this as someone who like, you know, like professionally edited for quite a while and gave a lot of people a lot of advice about books and about writing. But I think we just kind of got to this place where it's like, you know, the way publishing is right now, not that there aren't things you can do to help your odds, or like there is still craft and we love working on craft, but it just didn't make sense for us anymore to show up and be spouting out things like, you got to send your queries in batches of X size. And if you don't get this response rate.
I do have thoughts about that. They've changed a lot.
Right. And not that I don't think we ever dispense advice on writing or publishing on the channel, but it just like, I think for us started, at least for me, very much started feeling yucky to like make that the whole thing is like, we're going to tell you how to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think like the more you learn about writing and publishing, the more you realize you don't know anything about writing and publishing, and like what works for you is not going to work for other people. And so giving advice and acting like this is the only way to do it, I think it's like, not only have we realized it's not cool, but like a lot of other people have realized that too. Like I'm not seeing the same like informative, chipper people on the channel being like, this is the way to do it if you want to publish a book, right? Not necessarily true anymore.
Yeah, I do. That's part of why I love the Publishing Rodeo podcast. It's got these two authors who both got book deals in the same genre with Tor at about the same time. They published it about the same time, but had like dramatically different experiences. And I especially love the episodes where the two hosts are just talking and breaking down their personal experiences, because it is such a perfect illustration of how impossible it is to really have control in the publishing industry. Like there's such a small amount that you control and such a huge amount that like the publishing gatekeepers control.
It's also a really good demonstration of a format that does work because they're not going on and giving advice. They're going on and saying, this was my journey, this was what I experienced, and this is what I did. And it's different people every time. So you get this wide look at like all these different careers, all these different authors, and the various like paths they took and things that happened to them in their career. So it's just like, it's not the same 6 people giving the same bits of advice over. It's like new people with new journeys. And yeah, I feel like I learn a lot from that type of thing. So much rather just listen to other people talk about their journeys rather than sit down and try to film myself giving advice. Because like, what would I even say about querying at this point? I can't even imagine going on and being like, I quit.
Me and Kyra would be like, no, stop it.
7 years ago, or however freaking long it was. Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, do this, and you'd both be like, come step aside.
Really good, like the comic cartoon hook, just like pull it out.
Yeah. Sit down.
That's so Misty Kate just said, I don't know if it's about giving advice, more about hearing people's different experiences. Which is kind of what Erin was saying. I think it's also something, if we're talking about the way the publishing world, YouTube, BookTube has evolved since we started, is like, this is something that's done so much more now, and that's fantastic. Like, we really needed to be talking more about our experiences. I have like one of the WordNerd videos that I remember very, very distinctly is Megan she's cooking in the middle of the night for some reason. She's like making madeleines.
When do y'all cook?
I don't know why that's part of like what makes the video memorable to me. It's also like, it was like the middle of the night, wasn't it?
It was, and it was that was also the debut of my Crisis Cats t-shirt, I believe.
Hey. And so in this video, the baking's always important. It wasn't actually supposed to be the focus though. But Megan starts talking about like this experience of like going on sub, losing her agent, and the tone of it was very just like, hey, like, this is a little personal. Like, we don't talk about these things, but I'm going to talk about these things. And it's much more.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't know. Maybe this is just like my interpretation, but it kind of seems like when you posted that, it felt like it was still kind of like taboo to talk about getting dropped by your agent, or at least something I think that you felt very like.
Oh, for sure.
Not great talk.
I don't remember anything I said. All I remember is the cat shirt and the madeleines.
You just like blacked out during that video.
I like dissociated hard anytime I had to try and find like a diplomatic way to talk about the experience I had.
Fair.
Yeah.
But it was like a very, very vulnerable video, which people did not do nearly as often back then. And I think it's really great that we have gotten to where it's much more accepted. It's still hard, it's still scary, but it's less hard and scary, I think, than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I think has been fun over the last 10 years has been just like seeing how like our interests have changed, and just like seeing us like evolve as people and as readers and writers and everything. How like we started as like a YA channel, like we were going to talk about writing YA books, and that was it, you know. And then it was like, and then it was like we kind of, and I think most of us kind of were pretty rigid in like genres we were interested in too, you know. And it's like we've expanded genres and age categories, and like we're interested in like other media, and And so like, like some of us have like gotten into video games and all sorts of things. And so it's just been kind of like fun to see like how everybody has like grown as people, which, happens over 10 years. And I think like our ability to be flexible with that has also been like how we've made it this far.
Mm-hmm.
Just for funsies, I pulled up, I just was like, what were the YA books of 2013? Would you like me to?
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the year Allegiant by Veronica Roth came out.
Oh man,
big for annoying people.
The Allegiant, I think, is the second Kira Cass selection book. Came out in 2013. Fangirl came out in 2013.
Okay.
Scarlet by Marissa Mayer, so the sequel to Cinder. Holly Black, The Coldest Girl in Cold Town.
Good one.
Nice.
Unravel Me came out that year.
Oh,
wow.
We read a lot of these.
Yeah.
Not all of them in that year. Some of them we read like in later years, but
yeah. The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey.
Oh, crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That was a big year for YA.
Yeah.
It was.
Prodigy by Marie Lu. Let's see. Let's get some contemporary here. Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan came out that year. I'm just trying to scroll through this and see if there's Openly Straight by Bill Konigsberg. So we've made some diversity strides, I feel like, is what I'm getting.
Like, I don't even feel like it was probably a particularly big year. I feel like all of the years were so big back then. And it was just, we were so used to this constant influx of new YA books and needing to know all the YA books. And
like it being the Allegiant year means like we were like on the downturn of dystopian at that point, which also I think kind of, it was like the downturn of dystopian, which then eventually led to kind of like the downturn in YA.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like 2012 and even these feel like bigger years. Like they're more here than I'm like,
Fault in Our Stars was 2012, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was the year the selection started. Grave Mercy came out that year. Codename Verity came out that year. Libba Bray, The Diviners. Which Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Every Day.
Did that movie just come out? I think that movie like just
really. Yeah, like I'm not even aware of what adaptation.
I didn't see it advertised anywhere. I only saw about it from someone on Twitter like one time.
So those were the books that like I guess came out before we started, but I think we're very much like in the era. This is what we were reading when we started.
It is like when we were like mostly focused on just like one age category, it was I think easier to stay up on like what all the big stuff is. Yes. Now it's like I read across so many different genres and age categories that I like never know what new stuff is coming out anymore.
Yeah. I also feel so much less pressure to like buy new books. Like I'm getting so much more from the library now.
Yeah. I remember for a while
I'm way behind.
I had to read stuff that was like published that year. Like I had to be reading the new stuff. And now I'm like, no, I'll read stuff from 10 years ago. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like literally scrolling through old videos and it's so weird. Just like seeing everyone's changing haircuts and like faces and then like my writing process in quarantine and I'm like,
It's weird to me that we were doing like weekday videos as late as COVID.
Yeah. That's wild. It feels like we've been out of that for a lot longer than we actually have been.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think and I might be the only word nerd for whom this is true, but I don't think I was ever part of the rotation for
and Leo wasn't.
And so it's true for Leo too. And it was also just like for most of the time that the channel has existed, I was in college. And I just like am very thankful that I was like, nope, I'm in grad school. I cannot commit to that. but still got to like enjoy the benefits of like being friends with everyone.
You are like a reordering character is what we said. And now I think now you're a regular.
I had that in my Twitter bio for many, many years. That was a WordNerds recurring.
Yes.
Well, I think a huge part and a huge element of keeping a group channel alive is just having enough people that like 6 people could be absent any week and you'd still be able to keep going.
Yeah.
That's helped us a lot.
Well, and I think doing more frequent nerd-ins, so we have more weeks where we don't, because we don't really need to plan for those. And those are also weeks that, like, if 2 or 3 people show up, that's enough to do a nerd-in. But
and even when we do topics, we're just doing topics that we think are fun and interesting versus feeling like, oh, we need to talk about this writing topic, you know.
And very often, like, there was an exception for the recent chat we did where Des had like a full Des planned everything out. But like normally the chats we've been doing, even when they're on a subject that we're excited about, we don't have to like put together a PowerPoint.
We put in way more effort for like brackets than actually teaching anyone anything anymore.
that is true.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it.
Nicole said, I know they weren't your most popular streams, but tell me I'm not the only one who misses the Word Nerd Book Club. I feel like when Book Club was good, it was good.
It was good.
But some months it was a struggle to get people to read.
Yeah.
That's when it got stressful of like, knowing you haven't read it or knowing there's not going to be enough people who read it.
And I think it was a lot easier in those early years where we all were kind of like reading similar things, where like we were mostly focused on YA and like there were these big books that everyone was reading, and so it was like easy to be like, well, we're gonna read this anyway because it's the big YA book. But it like got harder as we started to kind of like diversify our tastes, that we all were into different things.
I remember there was a few books, not many, where we all really liked it or really hated it, and it was just like
what are we
I
talking about?
know one in particular where we knew the author and liked the author and
but all really hated the book. Oh
and
my
just
god.
canceled the book club.
I think we did get on and we just did really talk about
we
it.
just didn't talk about it.
I think we literally were like, that was fun, and then moved the conversation.
Anyway,
it was like a
off
30-minute chat. It was a 30-minute chat, and then we got off. Super awkward.
I think, and I was not there, but I did read the book, and I also did not like it. And I think there was a lot of like, it's got a really pretty. It did have a very pretty cover.
It had a good content.
And a very nice person. As
we really liked the person.
That one we will not be telling you.
That one
will take that to our grave.
That one goes to our grave. Yes.
Yeah. If you want to really dig through old book clubs and figure it out, go for it.
Put the clues together. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I've been on a very nostalgic kick going over stuff, thinking about the 10-year, and I do miss the workshops. I think the workshops, they really they took a lot of prep, and then I ran a lot of the workshops myself, and so when I was like, I can't do this anymore, the workshops, it was kind of like, oh, well, I love those, but I have to stop doing those for a bit, because I got to a point where I was really stressed after every single live chat and would feel like I needed to like watch through everything to make sure I hadn't said something embarrassing. But as soon as we stopped trying to grow the channel significantly, I don't have that anxiety anymore. So workshops are something I've been like missing certain things, and I feel like it's like, oh, well, I'd like to do one of those again.
We were literally just talking about this and about doing a writing sprint one again, because like those ones aren't too hard. We don't, especially if we're like, we're not going to do a prompt. We're just going to.
I'm going to do prompts next.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing an old school. We realized that we were a little off.
Okay,
sure. Things are not like we'll never do them again, but it was like it wasn't working to do them as frequently as we were. So
yeah. I think with like book club, like we've like talked about the idea of like maybe towards the end of this year we might do just like a bring your own book club. Like everybody brings something you read this year that you really loved and like do a little book talk about it, you know, versus trying to get everybody on the same page.
That would be fun. I liked the workshops, but I didn't do too many of them. There was a lot of work, and mostly it's because like I suck so hard at PowerPoint that it would be like,
I love a PowerPoint. PowerPoint is one of my passions.
You just have to get it all together and send it to Megan and be like, please.
Yeah, send me your thoughts.
the sprints were my favorite. I still love the nerd-ins that we do. Like those are super fun. Any kind of like work party is a huge thing. I really love it. And then what else was I gonna say? There was one other thing I was looking at that I really miss. Oh, like I do like craft talks. Not necessarily from a point of view of like, this is how you write, but like, this is how my writing is going, or this is a thing I learned this month, or here's what I've changed my mind on. Anything.
Kind of what Misty Kate said, of like touching base on craft topics that have changed and evolved for you over years, and the why your process has changed.
Yeah,
I think a lot of this for all of us is like learning to accept that we all like doing different parts of it, and like that there's not going to be a schedule necessarily. Like I'm definitely seeing that there's a lot of people still loving the workshops. So
yes,
it makes me want to do one more. And like Nicole, I think it was Nicole. What can we do to help put the workshops together? I think the biggest thing is like being very specific on what you want to know. Coming up with stuff is hard.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Well, I think especially because like, not that we expect anyone here to have watched all 2,000 WordNerd videos, but like, just because I think we come to it with the mentality of like, well, we probably already talked about that. But if you say, no, talk about it more, then we will talk about it more, darn it.
I would love to talk about it more.
Yeah. And I'm always, someone says, Misty Kate says collab effort, and that can be true between the WordNerds too. So Megan isn't stuck with putting together every workshop. Like I said, I suck at PowerPoint, but I'm more than happy to write out a workshop and send it to someone that doesn't suck at PowerPoint, you know? Yeah.
In hindsight, it's hard to piece out everything that was like because there was a huge element of just like, I needed to stress a little less about things that didn't matter. But there was like an element of doing a lot of work, but then there was also the element of just like, oh, that sucks that my dad happened to die on a workshop day, like things like that. And so like looking back and being like, oh, I got to change that template, you know? And so I don't necessarily think it's all just like, oh, it's a ton of work, which is why it's been kind of fun to be nostalgic and look back and be like, okay, well, you took a big break. What are things you liked? Like the workshops. What did you liked editing videos sometimes? We could do that again, you know?
Yeah, and I feel it feels really different now too. Like I think if we were to do a workshop or we were to do something, even like a sprint, to me, it feels different. We're not like worried about drawing people over from the Nano channel or upping our subscribers, or like even at least in my case, I'm not worrying as much about obviously I'm going to be careful about not cursing or something, but I'm not worried about making an idiot of myself. Like less careful about making it, because it's like it's the same people we see every time. We like them, like hopefully they like us. Like it's a small intimate group, and it feels less like we're putting less pressure on ourselves now than before, you know?
I'm now just imagining that someone is just like hate watching us for an hour every week.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Like when you said it, we think you like us. I'm like, I would hope so.
Hey, that's all that's just a different kind of attention, I know. Like
I mean, like if you're out there hate watching us for an hour every week,
dedication.
Let's talk. Like what's going on, dude?
That is dedication. Gotta admire that.
I have a nemesis. I want to know. Like,
absolutely. I'll email you.
Like if you're gonna hate me, I want to hate you too.
Yeah, both ways, you know.
That does remind me, kind of off topic, but Erin did have a nemesis at
Erin's
one point.
nemesis.
Yes.
Other Bryony.
I emailed a formal invitation to duel to him. So I said, just so you know, you are now my nemesis.
Oh no.
And he accepted.
Yeah.
What's that?
Gray. They were
Gwendolyn Gray.
They were both gray.
I have his book somewhere on my shelf. I don't know where it's gone, but I haven't burned it yet.
I think he did a video for us, didn't he?
I think so too.
I think so. Yeah.
Having guests on the channel was very cool.
That was cool.
Like it was always like too much work to manage, but it was cool when it happened.
Yeah.
It's not really something you can do in a live chat format because it's like
If there was someone we were chill enough with, I feel like we could just have like open Q&A. And if they knew that's what it was, like I actually feel like we could do a live chat with a guest.
I think so.
I feel like I could do it with someone I knew.
Yes, I know. I'd have to be like someone who like I think knew pretty well and were very chill with, and they were chill
I
with
think
us.
you could. I don't think it would be a big deal because like post-COVID, everyone does this.
That's true.
So like,
That's
I don't think it'd be
true.
a big deal even if you didn't know them well to be like, we're inviting you on. You're gonna pop into a live chat. We have a list of 10 questions, and then we just have a free chat session afterwards. I don't think anyone would bat an eye at that. You know, like
That's true.
Yeah, in early days, like having to talk less technical people through how to video.
now. If you're less technical post-COVID, you're left in the dust. So like everyone has adapted, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's like, can you click on the StreamYard link?
Great.
We can have you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about if there's anyone that I like in my circles. That'd be kind of fun to
That would be fun.
bring along.
Do a Q&A, because one of the things I really actually miss is just the Q&As we used to do. Like whether it was craft or publishing or just like what's going on in your life or what's a cool movie you've watched, like just the random Q&As, because those I always felt like those like flowed really nicely. Yeah, wouldn't mind doing that again. We should just like get together and write a list of stuff that we missed and that we want to do again.
And then like pace it out over the next year.
Yes,
Exactly.
Much paced out.
Because there's no pressure.
Hell yeah.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, and if anyone has anything that like you particularly miss, like book clubs were mentioned, workshops were mentioned, or if there's anything that you think would like mesh well with our format that we have going on, like we'd still love to hear it. I think we're definitely open to doing more things and adapting a little more. Yeah.
Quarterly videos.
Oh, I forgot about those.
I totally forgot about those.
I feel like we could almost turn those into a live chat because we kind of had like a set of questions that we did, right?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we could do a because I never stopped talking about this, but like goal setting party is one of my favorite parties.
Nano's coming up. Let's plan the rest of the year.
Let's do it. And then you can bring snacks and plan goals. Those are my like two favorite things.
Erin,
My husband came home with cake and I meant to bring cake to the party and I forgot.
You're always allowed to bring snacks to the chat, Erin.
Oh, but those
that was always allowed.
Those are more fun. I don't know why.
Okay. I don't want to mess with your like personal reward system.
Yeah, I do really enjoy that we switched to like every other week now is a productivity night. And I, based on like comments we would get from people whose names we'd see less often, I definitely feel like that was people liked write-ins and productivity nights and
definitely
would have liked more of them. So I like that decision a lot.
The sprints were pretty popular, I feel like. Like we drew people that were just wanting to write with us basically. So that could be something to revisit again. Every so often.
Like if anyone wants to host one, I think that's always the biggest hang up. Like for me, that was always my big, I don't want, like when I landed on a write-in night, it's like, oh, stress. Don't want it. But if someone wants to, do it. Like it's.
And for me, like I didn't mind hosting them, but I didn't want to host them every week.
I didn't mind hosting them, but because like the timing it and everything, I didn't really have an issue with. But it's when we were doing them really regularly, it was feeling like you had to come up with unique prompts every time.
Yeah, that was my thing too.
That was the only thing.
Yeah. I don't mind. It could be like a different person comes up with prompts or just no prompts. I'm also fine with that.
That's also legal.
Or generic prompts. They don't have to be fantastic. They could just be.
Yeah.
We
Google
can't
some
all
random
come up with prompts like Des. Their prompts are the best every time.
The prompt is just one word per session. This time it's cow. Do with that what you will.
I don't. Next week's, I'm going to have the prompts geared at like 3 different things. Because it's October 1st, which is Preptober for anyone who's gearing up for Nano. And so I want to have like a very basic, but like a prompt for if you are preparing a novel, a prompt for if you're writing, and then one for like if you just want to be chill. You want to be productive, but be chill.
Nicole just said, if you need a list of prompts, let us know. Someone hosting a prompt, like a write-in with audience supplied prompts would be very cool.
Oh, that would be fun. So we made the Discord a little while back when it was like, things are up in the air, because we wanted something tangible that if, like, God forbid, something happened to the channel and we just couldn't do it anymore, we had a place that we could still talk to people. And I feel like it could be fun to utilize that in like the chats or in preparing for the chats. So yeah, like having that be a space where prompts could be submitted and then they'd still be surprised. CK said, I have tons of prompts. Andrew said it's interesting watching old write-ins and watching the prompts turn into an arms race.
I think having more frequent nerd-ins actually also just helped with the burnout, because it's like just even having an hour dedicated every other week to like be productive is really nice when you have a whole lot of stuff going on in your life.
It's really true.
Okay, so we talked a lot about prompts, liking prompts. Where are we on sprints? Because thinking about it, like for me, the sprints was always the tedious thing about hosting. Like I don't do anything if I have to remember to stop everyone in 15 minutes. I just sit there. But like doing a nerd in and like just having a big screen where we can change the prompt out whenever somebody happens to think of flipping the slide kind of thing. So we just have some on the back burner and we can flip through them, but less timed could be feasible.
I think if it's paired with the Discord, then you have an alarm that goes off in your earbud when it's done, which is nice. Because I tried making like 15-minute video clips and it worked okay, but now we don't have premium, so we can't do that.
Yeah, I don't mind the timer. I just want like an actual egg timer so I don't have to try to get it on my phone and stuff.
I think I mostly don't do well like timing myself on anything. Like it just feels like, okay, now I only have dawdled for 5 minutes. I only have 10 minutes left to get anything done. Like it's like trying to like you're having trouble falling asleep and you're just counting down how much time you have left and how terrible it's going to be the next day. So those are always hard for me to get going on. So I definitely prefer the open sprints, but we can always do a combination and
alternate
time to time. Yeah.
And it's also, Kelly, if we do this, you do not have to host one of the people who don't want
to just be like, you know what, this one's not for me. If you want to do it, it's not me. Yeah, I think that's been one of the biggest non-writing lessons for me, has just been figuring out like what my limits are and being able to pinpoint what they are. Like, you know, you just can't do anything if you're running the timer. For me, like being able to tell, oh, it's not the write-ins I hate, it's that I'm in an anxiety spiral and I can't stop thinking about whether I'm oversharing on live or something. Being able to pinpoint what the issue is and then being like, oh, well, I can just tell them. No one will care. Just be like, oh, no, not that one. They're like, oh, no, I can't do it this week.
Yeah. For me, it's been like learning that it's okay if things don't come, like there's been a feeling of, well, if no one's going to do it, I have to step up for all the things. Yeah. And like, so there's been a good chunk where like Megan and I were doing a lot of the stuff because we're just bad at not doing things.
Bad at letting it just not happen.
Yeah. So that has been a very big one.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress.
I'm just so caught up in looking through the old videos. It's so fascinating.
I love watching everyone else's old videos. I don't love watching my own, but I love watching everyone else's.
I just remembered the existence of the husbands video.
Yeah.
Where they attempted to sing the theme song. I guess we don't really use the theme song anymore because we were not doing the music videos.
Yeah, that's true.
That's in my video.
Yes.
Yay. Oh my gosh, I forgot we had a theme song until now.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't picked up on it now, I have like a cutesy little like 2.5-minute video that's going to go up on the actual anniversary of the first video going up, which is September 30th. So
It's gonna make me cry, isn't it?
probably. That's the hope, you know.
Megan's like, I failed if it doesn't.
I have gotten emotional multiple times while editing it. So
Oh man. It's so good. Even just like, yeah, I don't know, even looking through these old videos, I'm like, we were such babies.
It's so like it's crazy thinking back on like how much things have changed and like even who our regulars were and the people we used to see all the time, or like the months and months of people asking where Erica was.
Oh my God. I thought it was never gonna end. I had to private a couple of her videos, like her really, really popular ones, and that was the only thing that stopped people asking.
We're just getting so frustrated. Oh no.
And we love Erica, like, but it was never ending. People asking where she was.
It was like, cool, we get it. You're all just here for her. What it felt like.
Years.
Rub it in a little bit. Thank you.
She's been gone for so long. I can't even imagine how many of the people here now were around during that era. Like,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of y'all said you found us Nano, like 2015, 2016. So you were there.
but I feel like it was like after Charleston that we stopped seeing her much.
It was not too long
Yeah,
after
It was
that.
very
Yeah.
shortly
Yeah,
after.
it was probably like 6 months later or something.
And that she was honestly like the first case of someone who had a lot going on and needed to take a break, and that had never happened on the channel before.
Yeah.
Because we had Kaylin, who also had like stuff going on, but it was very obvious. Like we knew exactly what it was, and so when she stopped coming, it was like, oh well, obviously.
Yeah. I just remember we got so fed up that at one point, I don't remember if it was all of us or just a few of us who were like let the annoyance slip a little bit in one of the because it was in one of the lives and someone asked, and I think some of us were like, and I think it was while we were at Emma's house maybe, and we did we were there together for a live chat. I remember very distinctly making a frustrated noise and then being like, oops. Oh man,
good times.
Yeah.
And she had great videos, like very, very good, very fun.
That's what the problem was.
Never ending.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree, Nicole. I'm amazed by how you get in front of the camera every Sunday. Being in the chat is a cakewalk compared. I have been a lurker in a lot of live chats, and I chicken out of being in the chat all the time. So
I think you also
you're like, well, you can't
desensitized
kick
too.
me out. I'm logged into the WordNerds account.
Oh, I just found my nemesis. There we go. Trimming when you don't know which words to cut was his contribution to our channel.
So we're just over an hour, and I don't want to end on the Erica note. Can we, like, who else guessed it on the
I can just keep going. I'm here all night, folks.
The final question is, after 10 years, who would you vote off the island?
Wow, that's how the note to end
myself.
Since we've been talking for an hour about the power of friendship.
We will now end one friendship.
Who's the weakest link?
My question was going to be, who else had guessed it on the channel, just because Erin had mentioned her nemesis? Because I know we had Beth Revis at one point, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, Beth was one of our earliest, like, oh, this is a famous author supporter. Like, she was a big deal. And within the first like month or two, I think she was expressing some support, and that meant a lot at the time.
Because I think we did Across the Universe as a book club at one point, not
Yeah.
too far in, and
Yeah. I don't know who else. I can think of who else we had.
I'm sure there's a playlist.
yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I know we had like some agents and editors
Yeah,
that
I had a
like
whole
we had
ton.
connections with.
We had Kelsey Mackey,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damsel Distress. Although I think Kelsey publishes
Tony.
under a different name now.
Yeah, I think it's Tony.
Oh.
Tony.
Kelsey Tony, yeah. A very common thing in publishing.
Mhm.
We had Justina
Becky
Ireland
Albertalli.
once. Yeah, Becky Albertalli.
Whoa,
We had
very cool.
guest.
Whoa.
Very cool.
I think Simon had either just come out or was about to come out when she guested.
Very cool.
Like the guests were it was always interesting because I think like early on it was like, oh, we have to get these guests on to like drive traffic, and I think we like after not too long realized that it's like having a big name guest like gets a bunch of people to watch that video. But,
Yeah.
like, probably gonna keep
Yeah.
watching your other videos.
Nothing else. Yeah.
I forgot we'd had Becky. That's cool.
Mhm.
John Green tweeted us once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sam paid for that, right? But he tweeted our names.
So much of the guest playlist is Kyra.
Well, and it's funny too, because like at the time that I think I started guesting on the WordNerds, I was an intern at a literary agency, and that gave
Oh
me
my
clout.
god.
So I
really?
like guested
Doing it at the
on like
agency?
yeah. Well, like I would guest it like on blogs and stuff, not just here. And you're like, ooh, she said an agency. And it's like I was like a college
Yeah.
student in my dorm, not getting paid to read slush for 2 hours a week. So it's just funny how you reflect on those things.
Yeah, I got not paid to read through books and just be like, yep, this one's good, you should look at it, or
So did Aaron.
reject this one.
Yep. There's a few books I'm still mad about.
I'd forgotten I got not paid to give out arcs for Spencer Hill for a while, but maybe they did pay me. I don't even remember. I feel like maybe I got a stipend, which was
Oh.
worked out to like 30 cents an hour, but they paid me.
Ka-ching.
We'll take it.
I love that instead of interning, you're referring to it as I got not paid to read.
I had a title. I was Joan of Arcs, so it was like not interning.
Oh, yeah.
Joan of Arcs.
That was the first like job. I treated it like a job. I wasn't getting paid, but that was the first job I ever quit because I had depression. I had never had to tell an employer before, like, I'm too depressed to do this. I'm so sorry. But the agent was super nice.
In
I
hindsight,
like how you said it was the
in-
first job you quit because of depression, as if it wasn't the only one. It makes it sound like you just had a string.
Yeah. I had one other job in college that in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that was like a depressive episode. That was the reason I quit that job. But I didn't know that that was the reason I quit it at the time. It was a cool job though. It's my my like sports interviewing one.
Oh, yeah.
I got to go paragliding for. It was sick.
I just found our character heads up part 2 video. I'm watching that later for sure. I'm gonna do a WordNerds marathon rewatch once I get off of this, I think.
Yeah, I did learn a lot. I feel like from interning at the lit agency. It's like
I did learn a lot, as much as like I was an unpaid intern. I did learn a lot, and I did like it was actually fantastic for networking. Like it did.
I did not do the networking because I'm not an extrovert.
Well, I think we had like kind of different. Like I don't think you were supposed to like tell people who you were interning.
I was not. I assume I can tell people now. Like it was the agency, but they asked us back then not to tell. But that was cool because like they would do workshops and teach us about contracts and stuff.
That's cool.
Nicole says, I thought you were a big deal when you worked for the agency. I did too.
It's
It's just something I look back at now, and it was a cool experience, and I did learn a lot, and I networked a lot. But in hindsight, it's like, I didn't know that much. I still don't know that much.
I think that's the biggest lesson we've all learned over the last 10 years. I know nothing.
And I do think it taught me a lot about the subjectivity of the market, because I have such a vivid memory of writing up a big report on why I thought this like one book was good but should probably be rejected. And I remember the agent coming back and being like, I don't know, man, it just really hit for me. I'm gonna offer. And that was like a big, oh, like really? Sometimes they just like things and go
I think
for
about
it.
some of the ones that I had several, because the way my internship worked, like I was kind of the first line in the slush pile, and then like if I liked something, I'd read it. I occasionally would like edit, develop it, R&R with it, and then pass it on to the agent, which in hindsight was like an insane amount of responsibility.
That is a lot of work.
Student.
Yeah.
But I very legitimately had a few things that I read and passed off to the agent that the agent wasn't interested in, that went on to do quite well.
Yes, there's one in particular that I'm still mad about, that I literally just looked up right now, that I sent on. I sent on being like, please, for the love of God, offer on this. And she didn't, and it hit the list. And I was like, forever.
I would like to, after this, I'm going to, and if anyone cares, they can follow up on this next week. I'm going to go out to my bookshelf and count the number of books on there that I saw in the slush pile at this agency, none of which were repped.
Yeah.
I think I recommended one book to the agent that she took on as a client, and I loved it. It didn't sell.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
many of the ones I did sell, but not with the agent I was working
yeah.
with. And that's, I mean, that's also the business, right? Like they obviously did just fine without my agent that I was working for, but
and probably did better with a different agent because that agent like was passionate
because that
about
agent
it.
had the marketing plan for it in mind.
Yes.
I think that's like one of the biggest things I think I've like learned about like having an agent and everything in publishing is that like it has to be somebody who like really cares about the book. You know, like having an agent is great, but having an agent who doesn't care about your book is not going to really be helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think it very much for a long time was like a feeling of like any agent is a good agent. For multiple reasons, not true.
I do think while like Twitter is dying, there are some really interesting conversations going on over there every now and then about like the responsibility of agents to like connect with an idea to be able to sell it. And I don't have the answers. Obviously, you need to love it because you're going to read it a million times, but that does obviously lead to inequalities. And being like, oh, well, I just didn't connect with, like, how many times have people...
Well, and just that I didn't connect with it doesn't always mean what people think it means. It's very frequently used as kind of this very, very broad umbrella catch term. And I think people always interpret it as like, oh, they interpret it at its face value.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's just like, it's not a bad book, but it's just not what I'm going to choose to rep, you know? Yeah. And I think really the real answer to that entire conundrum is we need more diversity among agents.
And Griswold, a really great.
It's good to wrap it up.
I could keep chatting all night. Truly.
It's a really great note to wrap up on. If you want, tell us what you think the future will hold for your channel on YouTube, the literary world, etc. It's a big question, but
the literary world is such a big question mark of like how much it's changed, and like I still feel like the next big hit could change things all over again so quickly. But we've been waiting a long time.
Yeah.
I think at this point we have to accept that Akatar is the big hit.
No.
Like we're always like, what will the next big hit be? We haven't had one in a long time. Just
and then I open TikTok and it's people talking about Farron and I'm stop showing that to me.
That and Fourth Wing, apparently.
Yes, that I
That's
keep
the next
hearing
big one.
about. Yeah, it is the big one.
That one I would at least attempt to read. Not so
Yes,
much.
I have that on my Kindle.
I'm like
I'll
number
do it at some
50
point.
something on the library wait list.
Any day now.
Yeah.
I know for a fact in the future this channel will still have the YA WordNerds URL. YouTube will never let us get rid of
YouTube
it.
ever lets us change it.
YouTube will never, ever, ever let us change it.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that we keep doing this on Sundays. I hope we keep enjoying it. I hope we change things up and bring some things back that we were trying before that we could maybe approach differently or revisit with a more, kind of laid back view of things. And I don't know, I'd love it if the channel kept really slowly growing and we just kept enjoying ourselves. That's kind of what's happening right now. It'd be great if we just kept doing it,
Got room for a few more friends on Sunday.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I think for the literary world, just thinking like really zoomed out, like a lot of the stuff we've talked about and just how different of a place we are at now than when we started this channel. I think one thing that has stood out to me for a while is that it's always felt like there's a panic in the room when we talk about publishing. So when I started, it was there are not going to be any more bookstores. Amazon's going to take over everything, and there are not going to be physical books anymore. That was the big thing. And then it was, I'm trying to think like what the thing after that was. We're kind of there with AI right now. Just book sales in general, I think there's been concern about. And even though I can't off the top of my head maybe remember what a lot of the specific panics in the industry were, it always has felt like there is something that's like, this is the end of publishing. And not that I don't think we should be aware of those things and concerned about those things. There are a ton of problems in publishing, from equity to where people are getting paid or not paid, as the case often is, and just like burnout. Like there are a ton of problems in the industry. But I kind of like think just having watched a few of these cycles and different panics kind of roll through the industry, because no one is worried about Amazon like getting rid of print books anymore. That's not something people talk about, right? But I think just having witnessed a lot of that, I have a really firm belief that like people love stories. People have been writing for a really long time, and there's going to be disruption. And I think that's going to be uncomfortable a lot of the times. And I don't want to minimize that, but I also just like really believe that as long as people are writing and enjoying stories, we're going to find ways to connect readers with the people telling stories. And so even though like it's scary looking at the future a lot of times, that I have many concerns and anxieties, I really hold on to that as like, I think we're going to be okay. Like, I think we'll find a path forward.
I have to say that you just like unlocked a WordNerds memory for me of another annoying comment we used to get repeatedly was, what do you guys think of ebooks versus print books? What do you think of ebooks? Like there won't be any more print. Like we used to get that comment, that question.
People were so concerned about it.
Yeah.
People were so concerned that there would not be print books
and
anymore.
It was like there was also this like idea that you had to take a side. Like as a writer, you had to be a defender of print, because that's what people wanted us. Like that, you could tell that was like what they wanted with that question, was for us to like go on about how.
Meanwhile, a few years later, we were all like, audiobooks.
I don't want to use my eyes ever again.
That's really
too anxious
true.
to sit down and read a book. I'm just gonna listen to it.
These eyes are for writing books only. Yeah.
Right.
It feels like a really nice note. Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's got to be as good as Kyra's final thing, but go for it.
No pressure.
I was just going to say, like, I hope, the future's got a lot of unknowns. I hope for me personally and for the channel generally that there's a lot of balance. I think at first I felt like, oh, we got to be out there. Oh, I got to be talking with my like high excited voice all the time. And I got to be sharing everything about myself. And everybody's got to know everything about my book journey. And then I hit a wall of like, I need to scale all this back. I need to private all my videos. I need to not talk about myself ever. I need to not share anything. And anything I do share is too much. And I'm hoping that now I've reached a more balanced state of like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, We can be in the middle. It's okay if publishing stuff is going well. It's okay if it's not going well. Like, the point is just that we've built this nice balanced foundation, this nice group of people to spend time with weekly. And just like, we used to do these videos on how to refill your inkwell or whatever. Inspiration Corner, that's what it was.
Kelly wrote a whole book.
Yeah, Kelly wrote a whole book called Refilling Your Inkwell. But we used to do these videos every Friday that was like, Inspiration Corner, how can you get inspired? And for me now, it's just this. Like, this is just that thing. Meeting every Sunday is how I get inspired to keep writing. I don't think I would still be trying if we didn't have this community. And so I think just keeping up that balance is my goal for the next years of the channel.
Sounds like a good goal. Does anyone have
Not
any?
as good as Kyra's speech, but I'll take it.
Yeah. I'll take second.
Does anyone have any more final thoughts before we wrap up for the night?
It's gonna be really good.
It'll be really good. Kelly's putting the pressure on hardcore. So
next week, right in.
Yes.
Because we had our dates off. Canadian Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks. So
Yes.
Excellent. Old school right in. Back to the roots of our channel. All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up to our 10-year anniversary. We love all of you. Thank you for repeatedly showing up every Sunday and hanging out with you. It means a lot to us. You guys are awesome. And we will see you next week. Bye.
bye.